Today, I'm super excited to show you something, but first, I have to give you the backstory on it. The year was 1994. I was 17 years old, and my first electric guitar was interesting, to say the least. It was some kind of Japanese kit guitar with some wonky switches, a weird tremolo system, and strange pickups. It kind of resembled a Tiesco type no name on the headstock guitar, and it didn't sound very good and it didn't play very well. Well, I didn't play it very well either. So I was at a friend's house, and there was three of us, and we were doing a little bit of underage drinking. Bacardi 151, potent stuff. I had brought the guitar with me, and it was sitting on my friend's bed. They started to horseplay a bit, and one of them got pushed and sat back on the bed right on my guitar and snapped off the headstock. It was an accident. I really wasn't very heartbroken about it because it was tax time and I was going to go buy a new one with my tax return. Tax time came and I went to a shop and found this beautiful used guitar. It wasn't in perfect shape, but it was only 140 bucks. So I bought it. A couple weeks later, after looking at all the little scratches and dings on it, instead of just learning to play the damn thing, I decided I can paint it. So, like a dumbass, I disassembled it thinking I'd remember how all these electronics went back together, and I tried to repaint it. It didn't come out very good at all, and on top of that, I could never get the wiring back the way it was, and I pretty much ruined it. I ended up trading the pieces of it for a Washburn later on. Now, fast forward 3 years ago, I started looking for that guitar. Every time I found one, I didn't have the money or they wanted too much. This time around, I found one on Guitar Center at a decent price, but with very minimal pictures in good condition. So I took a gamble. This is a 1985 or 86, I'm pretty sure it's 85, Westone Spectrum MX by Matsumoku Industrial. I don't know how well you can see that finish, but it is just as beautiful as I remember. And this one, well, it's almost 38 years old, so yeah, it has its own dings and dents, but someone tried to touch them up and didn't do a bad job. I had to do a setup and get things right, like the bridge leveled, it was all way back, and get the saddles at the proper 12-inch radius, and do a little cleanup, but other than that, everything else was in great condition, so how does it sound? I can tell you that I honestly don't remember what mine sounded like back then. I didn't even have a proper guitar amp. I played through an old stereo tube amp my father had for this gigantic 70s tape deck. It did have a gain knob though, so I used to crank that thing up and I'd get a little bit of distortion out of it, but it sounded terrible. So let's see how this sounds out of a proper guitar amp. But first, how about some guitar glamour shots? that's how she sounds. The cleans sound great, especially through the neck pickup, and that middle pickup sounds really fantastic. The bridge on clean sounds good, but it is a very weak humbucker. I believe they're made by Magnaflux, and this particular one is only like 7K ohm resistance, which is pretty weak for a humbucker. As much as I'd like to keep this stock, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna swap out that humbucker for a DiMarzio Super Distortion. I'm gonna wake it up a bit because I'd like to make this a better guitar. It's a great guitar right now. It feels fantastic. Everything about it is great to me. And that's just not the nostalgia speaking. It just feels good. The fretboard and everything just feels really nice. And the weight of it, the balance. It is an all maple guitar. It's hard maple body, maple neck. So it's got a little weight to it. It's about 10 pounds. It is a fantastic guitar. And if you ever find one within the $300-400 range, and it doesn't have a bunch of dings and dents and scratches in it, buy it. Even if it does. You never know. If you can find one, these are great guitars. And if you do a whole lot of searching online, you're not going to find a lot. You're not going to find out a lot about them. You're going to find some basic information. And you're going to see a lot of the red ones and the black ones on Reverb. And I think the company Matsumoku, they went out of business, or they ceased production anyway, in 1987. So I don't think these were made after 1987 or even 86. But I think the Westone name might have still been out there for a little while. Thanks for joining me on this little back in time nostalgic bit. And I hope you enjoyed it. Hit that like button, maybe even subscribe, and I'd appreciate it. And I'm going to come back with this one with a guitar strap that I originally had on this guitar. It's not the same one. It's a new one. But it's the same one I had when I had this guitar. And a pedal that I bought around the same time. Those are coming in a couple days. You know what? I do have a t-shirt back from that era. And it's in rough shape, but we're going to put it on. And we're going to pretend it's 1994 again. Until then, I'll see you on the flip side.